Good day. Today I'm going to start out on my my series. I'm going to basically be covering COS2614 2023 Assessment 3 Question 1. Today I'll only be covering the transaction portion of the video, and I'll make consecutive ones for the remainder of these other functions functions. All right. So before I start, thought I'd better add a disclaimer here. My disclaimer is these videos are created for visual learners like myself in order to learn COS 2614. Please do not use these videos to cheat, as I do not condone cheating, neither do I condone breaking any laws, rules or regulations. I found the textbook was quite challenging to study when I was learning this module, and so I created this channel for people that want to be able to enjoy the art of coding, but without all the obstacles of having to read a textbook that you just can't make much sense of, or I couldn't make much sense of. Hopefully you do, but please proceed to choose whichever method is going to achieve your outcome, which is obviously understanding the module, understanding what it's about, and also learning the different terminologies in the module. Okay, I won't cover everything, but I will just cover the code. I'll give you what is required to get it done, and you can then learn from there. So as far as I know, this is Part A for submission for 2023. Consider the following UML class diagram modeling. The classes for different types of transactions for savings bank account. Okay, so we have the transaction class, we have a savings account class, we have a deposit, withdrawal, balance inquiry. Okay, a transaction can be of three types. It can be a deposit, withdrawal, and a balance inquiry, which is stored in M type. Okay, so that's what that is, an M type, which is initialized in the constructor of the appropriate subclasses. Okay, the date and time of the transaction is stored in M date time, which is also initialized in the constructor of the appropriate subclasses. Get type returns the type of the transaction. Get date time returns the date and time of the transaction. ToString returns a string representation of a transaction. Compute cost is a pure virtual function to calculate the cost of each transaction. A deposit is charged a fee as specified in mFee. Hence, invoking compute cost on a deposit object simply returns the value of mFee. Initialize mFee to a reasonable amount. However, a withdrawal costs a percentage of the amount withdrawn. You can decide on this percentage and include this when calculating the cost of a withdrawal. A balance inquiry costs nothing to the customer. ToString functions in these subclasses should reuse the ToString in transaction and should include values of all its data members in a readable format. A savings account instance consists of the customer name, account number, and a list of transactions. An existing transaction object is added using add transaction. You should be able to obtain the combined cost of all the transactions in M transaction list using total transaction cost. Frequent transaction type should return the type of transaction that is done most frequently in a savings account. Transactions on a date returns a list of transactions carried out on a given date. ToString returns a string representation of savings account. Implement all these classes and write a short program to test the member functions of the savings account class. It should add at least 6 transactions, 2 of each type, to the account. Note that you should write a console application, not a GUI application. Okay. Okay, so my next step is to open my Qt application. You've got to excuse the small screen. This is unfortunately happens on a Mac, so just bear with me. You just click on New Project, and as you saw, we're creating a Qt console application. So I'm going to choose that, and then it's obviously got the name and then where it's going to be stored. So I'm going to set that up. Okay, so I've labeled mine assessment 3_2023, and I'm putting it in my C folder, UNISA COS2614, and assessment 3 folder. Click on next. Yes, I want a desktop MinGW. Okay, next. I'm not going to add any version control. Click on finish, and there I go. I've got my application in front of me. I've got a basic main function, so if I try to execute this, it should just open and then close. There it is. Okay, so it opened and it closed. Alright, so I'm going to click on File. I'm going to say New File or Project, or yeah, I think that should be it. And yes, all we want is classes. We want a C++ class. I'm going to choose. Okay, and my class name is the first class for this type should be transaction, since that's what I'm going to be covering. So transaction. Okay. My base class is nothing. I don't need any Q widgets or Q applications or anything, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Click on next. Yep, I want it added to my current project. Click on finish. Okay, so now I've got my transaction H and my transaction CPP, and if I go to my profile, you'll see that it's already got it here. It's added all the files for me. Okay, so if I go to my transaction H, which is my header file, there's a couple of things that I need. So I'm going to include a Q string. Q string. The next thing I'm going to include is Q date. Time. Okay, Q date time. Okay, and I've got my class declaration, and this is my default constructor. So I'm going to change my default constructor because let me just see if I minimize this. I don't want to minimize it too much. I just want to bring it to the screen so that we can see what we've got. Okay, so as you can see, the default constructor here is saying transaction, and then we've got type of Q string and date time of Q date time. So that's what we want to basically add in here. So we've got Q string, okay, and that's going to be type. Alright, and then we've got our Q date time, and that's defined as date time. Okay. The next one that we've got is get type, and remember with getters we always have to use the const at the end, because we are not changing any variables in a getter. Okay, but there's something else that is added here, and I'm going to add it in the meantime. but I'm not seeing it defined here. But there's a virtual function which we create of a destructor. And this is the only challenge I have with the Mac, is that I do not remember where destructors are. Okay, well, I know what I need to do. Okay, there we go. I got my destructor symbol, and that's we're wanting to create as a transaction. Transaction. Okay. Then the next one is a QString of get type. So we create that QString get type. Okay. And we add our const at the end. Then this is meant to be a virtual. So I wonder why it's not represented in the way that they normally do it. But anyway, virtual QString and toString const. Okay, so the data type is QString and the variable is toString, or the function is called toString. The next one is get date and time. So that one we're going to use a qDate time, and we're saying get date time. Okay, and it's also a const. And then remember now compute cost double is a data type of double, and you can see it's in italic, and so that italic is supposed to represent that it's a virtual function. Alright, so this one we say virtual, and we got a double, and we say compute cost const, and I'm going to initialize it to 0. Okay, now we go to our data members, which are these mtype and mDateTime. Okay, and we're going to add them as protected. Okay, and the first one is a QString called mtype. Okay, and the next one is the qDate time called m. Okay, so I forgot the underscore here. mtype mDate time. Okay, so that's my header. So the next thing I want to move on to is my actual file. So I need to go back here, and I want to copy this to the default constructor, to my implementation file, and we've got that qDate type. Okay, I'm going to do it the shortcut way. So we're going to say mtype is going to be set to our type. Type over here, and the mDate time, we're going to set that to our date time. Okay, then we have our open and close brackets. Alright, okay. The next one we're going to do, I'm going to just copy the destructor here. I don't need that virtual bit, I just need this. Okay, we mustn't forget to define our class, and we're saying our virtual destructor, and I'm going to put it like that. Transaction, and there it comes up with my list, but the first one that I'm going to do is my get type, and on get type I mustn't forget to add my constant here. Okay, then I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to return basically m type. Okay, the next one, transaction is I'm forgetting to define that this is a Q string. Okay, and this one is a Q date time, and our Q date time transaction is get date time. And that will return our m date time. The next one is our toString. So that's a QString type, and we want our transaction class. ToString const. Okay, so this one is going to be a bit of a longer return. This one is going to be return QString type, and then we put our placeholder, which is our %1, which is the first placeholder, date and time, which is our second placeholder there. And don't forget, because it's including a date and a time, we've got two placeholders, %2 and %3. In our arguments, we want to be able to return the m type, and our second argument, we're going to return the m date time, and we're going to put that to a string, and we're going to specify it as the date, month, and the year. Okay, and then our third argument is going to be exactly the same, the m date time to string, but this time we're going to convert it to our time. So we've got our hours, our minutes, our seconds, and milliseconds. Okay. And that's all. That is our transaction header and footer defined. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful. I will continue to release the other functions over the upcoming days, but I just wanted to get you on the right path to the transaction for now. So thank you for watching, and all the best with COS2614. Thank you and goodbye.